Hi, everyone. Welcome to Cyberfest. Already? Thank you so much. We're going from September 6th through 26th. You can find our schedule and all of our info on sfzinefest.org. This event is being ASL interpreted by ProBonoASL. For this one, we have screen printing. It's a screen printing demo with Pops Yael and Rai. This is how the event is going to go down. We'll have SF Zine Fest just doing an intro for 2 minutes, then house rules and expectations. We'll try to do, well, we may not have a breakout room for this because we're limiting to just a few folks. And we'll have print, organize, and protest talk about themselves for a bit, and then we'll see a demo, and then we'll take some questions. And then we'll close out. Once again, if you don't know what San Francisco Zine Fest is, let me tell you about it. It's founded in 2001 as a gathering place for writers and artists from around the world, but especially the Bay Area. Typically held as a one-day event at County Fair Building in Golden Gate Park, our 2019 festival had about 240 exhibitors and over 5,000 attendees. But due to COVID-19, our 2020 festival is going 100% virtual. And what is Cyberfest? Well, that's what we're calling this 3 weeks of online programming that's running from September 6th through September 26th. In it, you'll find exhibitors show and tell. We just had our first one in the previous hour. You'll find readings, demos, interviews, etc. Unlike last year, where we had one guest of honor for our one-day event, this year we have 3 guests of honor, one to represent each week of the festival. For the first week, we have Alex L. Combs. The second week is Death P. Sun, and the third week is Tana Tucker. This is a safer spaces policy that we also implement at all of our events, including the in-person festival. We are committed to providing a harassment-free experience for everyone, regardless of gender, gender identity or expression, sexual orientation, disability, their physical appearance, body size, race, or religion. We will not tolerate harassment at SF Zine Fest events in any form. Individuals violating the Safer Spaces policy may be sanctioned or expelled from the space or the event at the discretion of any SF Zine Fest organizer. Just keep in mind to respect people's opinions, beliefs, their differing states of being, and differing points of view. Always get explicit verbal consent before taking someone's photo or crossing other personal boundaries. Be responsible for your actions and aware that they may have an effect on others regardless of your original intent. A safe and respectful community is everyone's responsibility. These are just some guidelines for Zoom. To keep your video off unless you are presenting. This will prevent lagging. Keep yourself on mute unless you are presenting. If you have a question, please ask in the chat. There are chat moderators who will assist you. ASL interpretation is provided by Artie Anchondo and Ashley Rodriguez of ProBonoASL. You can pin the interpreter's window if you'd like. Please be mindful for folks who are blind or visually impaired by being specific and descriptive when sharing your work. Just a reminder that the Zoom session is being recorded and broadcast to Facebook and YouTube. And above all, please be respectful. We're not going to be doing a breakout room for this session. But this is something you can think about for those who are watching. Have you done any screen printing before? If you haven't, I assume that's why you're watching this. And if you have, why do you think you are interested in watching this now? Okay, I'm going to move on. So print organized actually, I'll have Yael of Print Organized Protest tell us about POP. And Yael, you can turn on your video at this point.
Is that all working? It's fine because I'm.
You're all good.
Okay. I can't see your slide though, and I don't know that part by heart.
Oh,
but,
okay. I mean, I can share it if you'd like. I can just read that part, share my screen again, and read that part.
That'd be cool. And then I can talk a little bit. Or actually, if you want to have Rye talk a little, because I'm going to do all the talking while I'm printing, that would be cool.
Okay, so let me kind of read the slides, and then I'll read the slide, and then I'll have Rye kind of just tell us more details about POP. And
maybe
yeah,
I turn my stuff off.
Yeah, I'm going to turn off your video and put you on mute at this point. Thank you. Okay, Print Organized Protest is a network of independent artists and printers working together for radical social change. POP events are coordinated and autonomous. We work together as collaborators to coordinate action-oriented printing days and open our doors to the public to come and print shirts, signs, posters, and make buttons. We encourage people to actively participate in local organizing events, including city council meetings, town halls, marches, demonstrations, and protests. And POP was actually at SF Zine Fest last year, and they made a lot of prints for us and for the visitors who stopped by and learned the process. And here, see, this is where I'll stop and have Rye tell us some more.
Can y'all hear me? Howdy, y'all. My name is Rye, pronouns he, him, his. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Print Organized Protest. So I'm based in Santa Cruz, where Print Organized Protest got its start from a close friend of mine, Janina Lorenas. It's kind of her brainchild. And it arose after sort of the election of Donald Trump right around that time period. And, you know, she was sitting around, a lot of us were sitting around wondering, as printmakers, what can we do? How can we kind of use a lot of our political feelings and our dedicated choice of medium to sort of enact social change, to bring about sort of like organizing spaces and create more political spaces and kind of give people the chance to experience the power of printmaking. So Janina, who had a print studio here in Santa Cruz, sort of put together this event, emailed, organized with print studios around the United States to have, you know, sort of an open door, one-day action where people would donate designs and we would put them on the screens and have them be ready to screen print on either materials provided or materials brought by participants. It turned out to be a phenomenal success. A lot of people showed up. People started asking more and more, and it just sort of got the ball rolling. And pretty soon, we were kind of setting up the printmaking tables regularly, just around here in Santa Cruz, and also shops all across the United States started doing regular work. We take donations from anyone. I've printed images drawn by 10-year-olds, and I've also printed images drawn by senior citizens. So we like to keep everything available for download on our website, printorganizedprotest.com. I'm just trying to think of what else to cover here. We typically work with organizations per their request, but occasionally we will do more autonomous actions and events at protests or on days we feel like it. But sort of the main focus is to you know, show people what printmaking is, to give them the opportunity to try out printmaking, to give them the opportunity to create political art, and to kind of just create community and spread images in sort of this radical, free way, and share the labor.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Yael, how are you looking as in terms of presenting? Well,
you disabled my video if you release it.
I didn't realize that. I think you can turn on the video yourself. But okay,
Yeah,
so.
no, okay, cool. Yeah, thank you, Artie. That was great. And so if I sit, you can see my face, but I'm going to move on to like showing you things. So my face will disappear.
Yeah, actually, as a start off, like if you like as you're showing it, I'm sure you already have this plan, but like just showing us what the tools are, like what you would need and all that.
Yeah, well, so I'm going to try to do that without moving the camera too much and making you too dizzy. So yes, so the first part of the process is actually the one part that I'm not able to do in my own studio. I had someone at the shop, and like I was saying, different shops around the country were doing it. We were doing it out of Kala a few years ago when we first got started, and somebody at Kala printed these transparencies for me, and then
for those who might not know, how do you print those transparencies?
So and actually, that's what you was saying also, that the files are available online. So you, from creating a black and white file, then you print it onto transparency.
Where could you buy that transparencies?
Pretty specific printer that can do that. Not every printer can do that. But then those transparencies are shot onto the screen with the light sensitive emulsion. So the end result is that you can see the images on the screen, and the ink will essentially flow through where the screen is open and not through where the emulsion is. Does that make enough sense? Should I do that again? This part is a little bit hard without seeing it live, but basically it's like I'm also using a different, you cover the whole thing with the light sensitive emulsion, and then you put it in front of a really strong source of light, and like everything that isn't blocked by black gets baked, and you take it off and you rinse out the emulsion where the black stuff was, and then you have a stencil basically.
Nice. And where can you buy the light sensitive emulsion?
Well, so and this is the part, there's like, I think it's slightly more advanced. You can try to do that at home with the sun or with like a setup at home. But there's also, if there's like a shop near you, like a lot of places will shoot screens for you for not too much money. Like, I believe there's like Grease Diner here in Berkeley on San Pablo will like shoot a screen for you for $25 or something. There's, it's the one part, like I can't do that here. I had to source it out.
Once you have a screen created, how long can you use that? I mean, does the quality worsen over time, or once you have that like stencil type screen?
No, you can have it for a while actually. It'll keep working for a while as long as you keep washing it out every time you're done. But the fun part is when you are done, or when you want to do something else, you can remove the stencil and make a new one. So if you have a screen, you can keep doing different images on it. You're not attached to the one stencil you made. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm also just going to read it.
And so then.
Wait, I'm going to just read a comment that Rai also made. And Rai said that if you do not have access to a printer, you can usually get an architectural blueprint shop to print your transparency for you.
Ooh, nice.
That also works. All right, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's great. And so some of the things we're going to need: a squeegee for pushing the ink through the screen, some ink. I'm going to keep this Defund the Police black because it seems like appropriate for this design. A spatula. So the mesh itself is made of silk, and it's very fragile. So you don't want to actually touch any hard object to it. So both the squeegee and spatula are like rubber. So there's no chance of them actually damaging the screen. And then I'm maybe just slightly dizzy. I have a hinge board here. Can you see that? Sort of. I'm just gonna like clamp. It's like 2 clamps on a hinge. You put the screen in the clamp and tighten it up. And then,
If you could explain why we would need to clamp down the screen like that.
well, just now here, because now I can lift it up and put it down, and it holds itself. Also, it holds itself independently, but also I can like take it up to put the paper down, and then I put it down to print and take it back up again. It's sort of the printing contraption. Okay, we're back. I think that was all the things. Well, and then some newsprint for just like testing things out, and like actual paper I'm going to print out. I'm going to print these on like pretty sturdy board, so you can like take them out to your protest or put them in your window or whatever. And then one last thing is I have like another sheet of transparency that's taped to my board that I like to use. Different printers, I feel like, have different methods for finding alignment, which is basically like making sure the image goes on the paper where you want it to go. I like this method where like I'll pull the first print onto the acetate, and then I can put the paper under and place it to know where it goes. I think that with that we can start. Any questions before? Yeah.
That sounds good.
Okay. So I'm gonna take some of my black ink and just kind of spread it sort of evenly across the top of my image.
What kind of ink are you using?
I am using Speedball acrylic ink for paper. I think it's kind of like the most affordable option. It's also just kind of what I had around. But it's great. It works great. And it's not crazy expensive. Okay. And so then, and this is the part where like it's really nice to have people in person and like to kind of grasp it. But there's 2 different angles you want the squeegee in. One is for like flooding, which is what I'm going to first, which is basically you're just getting the ink to sit inside the open parts of the screen. I don't know if you can see that. And then, actually, no, this is happening. Oh, and actually, I've been doing this without explaining. I have something here stopping the screen from touching the board. It's just a jar of ink. But when it's time to print, I'm moving it away so that the screen does touch the board. And then I'm going to keep my squeegee at a 45-degree angle and press it down. And then immediately flood it, because that keeps the screen from drying. But now with my image, most of it is on this transparency. And so I can take the paper, then print on, and sort of put the image where I want it to be. And I'm actually, just to save, like instead of doing this every time, if I do it once, I can, and then like I have these pieces of tape on my board, so I sort of move them around to mark my corners. Actually, I'll just take 2 pieces of tape because that one was not cooperating. I can mark my corners, and then I just can put the paper down right there every time instead of flipping the transparency. Because especially because I don't know if you can see that, but my transparency got a little messy on the edge. And so, ta-da! This was happening to me yesterday when I did a practice print with Lauren. I didn't put a lot of ink when I started, so I'm gonna add some more so the flood works more easily. Then, ta-da! A print.
Whoa, nice.
And then we can just keep going.
Can I ask, so,
Yes.
and I think it's because I briefly looked away from the screen, why print it on the transparency first?
If not all of your paper are exactly the same size, for example, or if you're going to put it on a t-shirt, or if you, those are, I think, basically like, if your surfaces are different, then you can kind of rely on this to know where the image is going to fall and place whatever you're printing on right under where the image is going to fall, so you get the image where you want it to be. Does that make sense?
Perfect. Yeah. So you're lining up the medium that you're going to print it on, basically. Yeah, it's the paper, and so you know exactly where it's going to be placed. That makes a lot of sense, and that's very smart, actually. I would have just done a lot of trial and error. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll move it here this time.
Yeah. I feel like generally print, like, and there's a range of sort of attitudes among printmakers, but many of them are very like accurate oriented. Like they don't guess things; they have to make it. It has to be a plan for it to work well. Like right now, see, I fixed it though. My flood wasn't very good because, like I said before, I didn't put a lot of ink. So when I first pulled it, it didn't really print everything, but then I pulled it again and it did. So I'm kind of more on the, like, have a plan, but also know a little bit how to improvise here and there scale of that printmaker attitude.
I think all us artists do that. We're always going to be correcting our mistakes.
There's a tiny piece of this one that didn't print, but I was able to fix it by pulling it twice. And I think of the printmaking methods, like screen printing is pretty forgiving. Like there's like a lot you can do to work around like super accuracy.
What do I do if let's say if I wanted to use a different color now on the same screen? What would I need to do?
Yeah, so that's sort of what I was kind of thinking now if I'm trying to switch colors or switch screens. I like the concept of switching colors. I would first, just to not be wasteful, kind of run through the ink that I have, or at least whatever, because I just flooded. I guess I can at least run through what's in my screen. And then actually, here's one more tool. It's like a scraper, but could easily also just be like an old credit card or whatever kind of plastic card that you don't use anymore. And you just kind of use that to scrape away all the extra ink from both your squeegee and your screen. Oops. And you could like, again, attitudes. You could completely clean your screen between colors. Or you can kind of like get rid of most of the ink. And then have the few prints in between the two colors kind of change, right? So it'll start with being like a blackish, whatever the next color is, to being fully what the next color is.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was going to say that when you were scraping, that was strangely satisfying, the sound of just knowing the ink is coming off the screen. It's great.
Well, this purple is like not even really that different from black, but it's a different, it's because I don't, that would be weird is blue, right? I don't want to make it blue, which is like the other color that I have. But like a dark purple.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay. And so I'm just gonna put that next color on. Again, if you were going from like black to yellow, for example, or white, you're probably gonna want to like really clean your screen. Because I'm going from black to a dark purple, I'm not worrying about it too much. What like time is it? How are we doing on time?
We're doing great on time. It's only 3:26. And even if we end a little early, that's all good, because I know we still have another, well, you're trying out different things and it's all good.
So theoretically, you see, this kind of still looks black, but it's purplish. It's a very dark purple. Well, we were gonna maybe do the other screen too.
Yeah, we should, if we have time. I mean, we do have.
Well, that's sort of why I was asking about time. But I'll make a few more purples until it feels completely purple. And I'll also say, so like, I was saying we have like the designs available on the website, or we have had historically. But we haven't been like super active lately. So these designs are coming from an artist in Los Angeles. His name is Jordan Crane. And they're not on our website yet, but they're available for anyone to download for free through his Twitter. He's got a link on his Twitter to all the art. I'm gonna share that later. Just mention that. We'll like link that up soon. We'll do just one more of this and try to switch screens.
I see you putting the prints to the side. How long does it take for the prints to dry?
Well, on a day like this, where it's like 1,000 degrees outside, maybe like 5 minutes. But usually it can take a little bit longer. Oh man, I think I should do one more. Yeah, I suspect it'll happen really fast today. But it's sort of depends on how thick the ink is and things. And whether, but like, I don't know, 15 minutes usually is good for to the touch. But if you're gonna like put another layer on it, you might want to wait a little bit longer so it's not sticky. It might be like still a little bit sticky after 15 minutes. Okay, I should stop now, right? Right.
Yeah, thank you. You're gonna try the other design, the other art.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna like really quickly, so I'm not gonna like fully take you all through the cleanup process, but just the steps that I need to take to not ruin my screen, basically. So like again, I'll take all the extra ink off and put it back in the container. And then I'm gonna like fully clean it out later. But I guess as we go, all my tools are coming out that I didn't mention before. Spray bottle. I'm just gonna spray the screen out so it's wet.
I'm sorry, what are you spraying it with?
Just water. If the ink dries inside the stencil, it's bad for the screen, basically. So I just want to keep it wet until I have time to fully clean it out, which is after we turn it off. And so this design is like huge. It's pretty much like the whole size of my screen. So like alignment, I feel like is a little bit easier. I sort of, I'm gonna check with it. I did it yesterday, kind of just by placing the paper underneath it. Kind of seeing where it falls, and I did already, you can maybe see that I marked these yesterday, so I'm just kind of going to check if yesterday's marks are still good enough. And they're actually a little too close for comfort on the top. So I don't know if you can see that, you probably can't. But yeah, I want to move them up a little bit. And actually, now that I think about it, when we were printing yesterday, everything was a little close to the top. So when I was placing the paper, I just basically placed it a little bit up every time. But I'm gonna move the tape this time. And I'm gonna try to do, you can see what I did yesterday behind me and here. I'm gonna try to do a split fountain, which is using multiple colors on one screen. And I also want to say that my entire, maybe I should have said that in the very beginning, the whole surface of where I'm working has like a layer of newsprint on it to protect my table from myself. But so you can see, can you see this from this far away? The split fountain, you basically, I'm going to put a few different colors on the screen. And as I pull prints, the colors will blend more and more. So you can kind of see this was the first one. It's like one color on each strip. And by the middle, there's more of like a smooth gradient.
Yeah, I was wondering how you did that. So it makes sense that the first print, the first copy, let's say, comes out that delineated, but then there is that transitional like gradient of the colors. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's just a little bit of red left. I think this will work. I'm actually going to put Some of it on this side and a little bit on the other end. Oops. Uh-oh. Did you see that? It's like splattered in the middle. Gonna put a little bit on the other end to maybe make a purple for the end of that spectrum.
I was just noticing that whenever people screen print and the way you're doing it right now, you're using the squeegee from top to bottom. Is that ideal instead of going right to left?
Yeah, definitely. Because you're using your body weight in a way when you're pressing it down and you're pulling it. You literally, they call it pulling prints, right? So yeah, I guess you could go. I've never even really tried to go the other way.
I was just thinking that if the love was, let's say, I don't know, let's say if that one was only red, but then how would I only get that one word to be red? So I would have to go sideways.
I would turn the whole screen and print from here this way, but pull it towards me. Like I would turn my board, basically.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, that makes sense.
I'm gonna put a little extra on the yellow because I don't have green. I'm like kind of making up the green by mixing on the board the yellow and the blue. And like because I teach sometimes, I have like a million spatulas. So instead of having to clean in between colors, I just have one for each color. And so I'm gonna do, can you see this? I'm gonna move you a little.
That's perfect, thank you.
I'm gonna do a little bit of this here to start like inspiring the blending of the green. There's gonna be like, actually I'm gonna try to wipe that little red splatter off because it's gonna ruin everything. But I'll also do a little bit of that here. Then make a little orange. And a little purple on this end. So then wipe. What am I wiping with? Yeah. Ready? This is going to be fun. Hopefully that's enough ink for the paper we have left. And so the one thing with the split fountain is you want to always keep your squeegee in the same direction, right? If I flip my squeegee all of a sudden, which was when I'm printing black, was fine. But with the colors, it's going to just ruin everything. You want to make sure the squeegee is in the same position. I'm going to put the first one on newsprint because it's going to be all separate anyway. It's pretty exciting. Here. I guess I moved you. Okay, I should move you back. How's that? It's better. Alright. This is what the first one looks like. And then Bristol board. I just noticed, I noticed that like a moment too late. So mistakes are fun because then you can learn. My squeegee wasn't completely centered, or I didn't apply enough pressure on the left side. And you'll see in a second, I'll show you. The left side didn't quite print, just the edge of the heart. But it still works. A little bit better this time. Oops. Wow, this one went rainbow really fast. I think I didn't maybe mix the colors on the top with last time I did it like I did this time.
And now while you make copies, because now it's just us watching, you make copies as it transitions more and more. Can you tell us a little bit about the type of work you do? When did you get into screen printing? Like, why did you get into screen printing?
Yeah, that's perfect. I was just going to be like, ask me a question because I don't know what else to say as I do this. So when I went to undergrad in Parsons in New York, and the print shop at Parsons was basically like the coolest place in the school. I don't know how to explain this. It was where I always wanted to be. Didn't really want to be anywhere else. And then I ended up getting like a work study gig at the print shop, and just hanging out and learning more and more about different kinds of screen printing, but really screen printing was always my favorite. I don't know exactly why. Maybe it's like the least chemical. I don't know. I also just really like the whole, kind of running out of ink on the left side here. Oops. I really like the color mixing and playing with colors. There's a lot of fun things you can do with transparency and overlays with screen printing, and you can make shirts and fun things.
What do you consider like the necessary things? Let's say if I wanted to do this at my home, like in my apartment, let's say, I know it'd be a big mess, so I probably wouldn't do it in the apartment. But what would I need for my setup?
And so I think there used to be like a kit that you could buy. I hear about this thing a lot, but I've never seen it or had it. So you would need a screen, right? And it doesn't have to. Oh my God, am I gonna like run out of ink with 2 sheets of paper left? That's gonna be very disappointing. And do this.
I was gonna say, like, how expensive is it to get screens? Like, I assume screens are screens the expensive part of screen printing?
They're actually not. I feel like they're not as expensive as you think. What is the expensive part of screen printing? I mean, I guess that's like the initial investment, like the screen, the squeegee, the things that you can use over and over again are a little bit more expensive, but also like ink is not cheap. If you start getting into it, it kind of adds up.
And then, I mean, if you wanted to make a new design or do a new screen, you'd have to buy a new screen for each design, correct?
No. So that's what I was saying before. You can like, after I'm done with this design, I can rinse out the emulsion and put new emulsion on and put a new design on it. So I can keep using it again and again. This one's just gonna have holes in it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh no, it's not awesome. Wait. Oh no, it's moved. Okay.
Also, yeah, in about like a couple of minutes, we're gonna come to a close. I'm gonna share my screen again. We're gonna talk a little bit about what's gonna happen with the prints. But yeah, in like a
Cool.
couple of minutes.
Did Jordan ever join us?
I do not see Jordan now.
Okay. Cool. I guess I didn't fully answer your question about like what's the bare minimum that you would need. I wonder if Rye has like a better answer for that. Because so you would need a screen. You would also kind of, these are a little bit like slightly expensive, but not really. Like the clamps, the hinge clamps, and then you would need a board to like clamp those too. But those are like the big like equipment things. I'm sorry, I'm like, I can't give up on this last one, but I really should. I'm gonna give up now.
Can we see how they look when they're not perfect?
Well, yes. This is like, can you see that? See the E?
Yeah, I mean, that still looks great. Actually, I mean, I understand when if what you're aiming for is a perfect print, yeah, that doesn't look perfect. Like,
Well,
it's
yeah,
not what
this
you were
one
expecting.
is still fine. I just think if I try to do the last one, because it's starting to lose like legibility, right? Like you can kind of read the word revolution, but it's kind of missing a chunk.
But that's like the revolution. It's not going to be perfect, but we're going to make it happen.
Yeah. I just, in here, I guess I can like move this and try to show you that like I can't get ink in here or in here. That's why I'm giving up.
No
And I'm
worries.
okay with that.
Right.
It's just one more sheet of paper. So I made 19 of these instead of 20. That's fine.
Let me share my screen. Can you turn yours off for a second? And then go on, please. Thank you.
Bloop.
Oh, and I'm on Facebook checking up on our events. Okay. Let me present my screen for a second to talk about our upcoming Cyberfest events, and we'll continue back into our demo here. So before we move on, we have, actually, sorry, I meant to do this one for print organized protest. So the graphics that Rai shared, it says that printorganizedprotest.org has graphics on there that you can download and take a look at. And also the designs you use in today's demo, right? Were both of them by Jordan?
Yeah, and there's a bunch more in there. Like he's got a whole.
Great.
He made a lot.
And for viewers, they can be found on the artist's Twitter. It's twitter.com/Jordan_Crane. So if you like them, you can get them for yourself. And if you have screen printers or all the screens and everything at home, you can like do the process yourself. And I was just going to say, yeah, upcoming Cyberfest events. So after this, from 3 to 4, we have our Q&A with guest of honor, Alex L. Combs. Alex is the guest of honor for the first week of Cyberfest. As you know, we have 3 weeks of Cyberfest. Then on Monday, we have another show and tell with exhibitors, where 10 exhibitors will talk about their work. Tuesday, it's the same, but with Group C. Wednesday, we have an invite-only intro to bookbinding for teens. So it's mainly for middle school and high school students. And it's co-hosted by San Francisco Center for the Book. They'll be showing 5 different ways of bookbinding and making zines. And I mentioned this in the other event that name Show and Tell actually came from an event we did with San Francisco Center for the Book. It's something that they had already turned for an event that we did with them in July. And we kind of stuck with it because we liked the idea and we realized that would be a great way to have exhibitors talk about their work and have that same feeling that we would at an in-person festival where someone comes up to your table and then you're just telling them about your work. And Thursday, we have our Thinking Captions zine reading with our guest of honor, Alex, and 3 artists that Alex has invited. I believe they are Brina, Maxi, and Shuchi. And the full names of it, are all on sfzinefest.org, as is our complete schedule. Can you tell us, Yael, what are you going to do with those prints?
So I once they all dry, and actually I want to stay and listen to the guest of honor, and I have whatever tomorrow morning. I'm gonna take them to 2 places here in the Bay. One is a free poster box outside my friend Taya's studio, which is there's a slide for that. It's I think it's 2828 McGee. And the other, you asked me to start my video. Oh, then why did I say later? Here, I can talk. But it's actually, I think, can I turn off my video? And do you have that slide with the addresses?
I don't see the slide in the show itself.
Maybe I can post it on the comments or something later.
Yeah, it's something I can also share if you provide it for me, and then we can share it on the website.
Yeah, I thought I put it in the slideshow, but anyway. So one is, I think it's 2828 McGee, and the other is Abrams Cleghorn Gallery on Solana Avenue in Albany. So they'll be available for free in both of those places as of tomorrow morning.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, wait, sorry, you were going to say something else?
I was going to say just one more thing, that we usually, when we do these things, we usually have like a donation jar, and like everything is volunteer based. Like everything we collect, we give back to the causes that we're supporting. It's funny because I put both of those things in the slideshow, but I guess maybe it was a different file. We're going to use my like Venmo and PayPal for that. I don't know, is that like?
This is totally fine. I mean, we'll include it because I think we're just in different files. I can share it in our resources for our schedule. So it'll just say, hey, print organized protest resources and how you can support them and where you can pick up the prints.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen before we log off just to thank the folks who are here. And not that. And not that. All right. As we mentioned before, the ASL interpretation was by ProBonoASL. You can learn more about them on their website, ProBonoASL.com, or their Instagram with the same name, their Facebook page, all of it, Twitter, it's all ProBonoASL. You can also Venmo folks. It's Pro Bono Interpreters on Cash App and PayPal and Venmo. So Pro Bono Interpreters. We really appreciate them being here to make our event accessible. We mentioned this before, actually not yet. So Intersection for the Arts, SF Zine Fest is a member of Intersection for the Arts. And Intersection is a Bedrock Bay Area arts nonprofit that provides people working in arts and culture with fiscal sponsorship and resources to grow. Trying to run a large organization that's mostly volunteer based. And when you're dealing with lots of finances, it's very helpful when you have someone who's helping you take care of all those finances. All right, I'm just gonna end this by saying, let me actually start my video also. Our next event is from 4 to 5, and it's with Alex Combs. You can find the link if you're going to be watching the broadcast on our website. All right, thank you all so much.